Hello and welcome, and on today's show we will be looking at some of the 2021 THOK bikes from Northern Italy, a look on how to ride with the bears of British Columbia, and a very special guest. And to begin today's show, we were lucky enough to be on the Italian Riviera not so many weeks ago to look at the EWS E series. And whilst we were there, we caught up with the guys from THOK to look at their 2021 bikes, which they've got a range of from budget up to high end, also featuring the Shimano EP8 motor. Okay, so I'm now joined by Stefano Migliorini, who is one of the founders of THOK bikes from a place called Alba, which is near Torino. Right?
It is good, it is good.
Now, Stefano is a former World Cup downhill racer. He came, I think he podiumed at the first ever World Cup back in 1993. And as with many downhillers, they've moved to e-mountain bikes and having a great time, right, Stefano?
Yeah, very good, very good.
Well, listen, we're here to talk about the bikes. Now, this is the TK 01 Limited, which THOK launched in June, and this is Stefano's own bike here. It's got some Öhlins products on it. It's got, well, you've got electronic shifting on there, Stefano?
Yeah, the standard that we launched in June was, very high-level component bikes. So with Öhlins 38, the first company that introduced this kind of suspension, Öhlins rear shock, 12-speed electronic, side brake, carbon part like bar, cover, wings, and fender and protection motor, and E8000 Shimano motor.
Yeah, EP8. On the E8000?
No, on the limited we introduced the E8000 and
right.
We introduced the EP8 in the standard bike, so not in the limited.
So we're going to talk about this standard bike in a minute. Now, obviously, Pirelli tires on your bike.
Yeah, on my bikes I'm testing Pirelli tire. Probably we will introduce in Ducati. As you know, we are collaborating with Ducati. We have a partnership with Ducati, and we introduce in the 2021.
Yeah,
working very well.
Yeah. Now I'm really interested in this bike. Now this is the, as I mentioned, this is the TK, is a new range which comes along as well as the MIG range, which was launched a few years ago. Now this bike is 170mm travel front and rear, some really aggressive geometry on it, a 65 head angle.
Yeah, 64 and a half.
Yeah, 450mm chainstay, 350mm bottom bracket, and it comes in 4 sizes. But get this, the price on this bike?
€4,950.
Wow. That's pretty competitive, Stefano. Fair
it
dues.
Is.
29-inch wheel front and 27.5 on the rear. What does it come with, Maxxis tyres?
Maxxis tyres Exo Plus.
Okay, and as I mentioned, this bike comes with the all-new Shimano EP8 motor, and I'm guessing it's a 630 watt-hour battery in here.
Yeah.
As you can see, it's integrated. Really smooth lines on this bike. Aluminium chassis on it, 165mm crank arms on it, and yeah, I mean the components. You've got SRAM, you've got some guide brakes. Super neat. A THOK dropper.
THOK dropper. Yeah, in the XL we are going to enlarge in 170mm dropper.
Right. What else do we need to talk about?
And look at that, the switch button is very sexy. It's under control and
So, like as Stefano says, there's a super sexy switch under the top tube there, and the head tube. Tell me about the head tube. What's the idea behind that?
The tube is the new standard. I think some other company will introduce, but we say that 1.8 tapered, it will be the standard for e-bikes because the weight
makes sense.
Makes sense for sure.
Makes total sense.
In combination with 38, bigger head tube have sense.
So there you go, THOK bikes, Stefano Migliorini, pioneers of the new headset standard.
Ciao.
So, who is going to be joining me on today's EMBN show? Well, I have to say, I am massively relieved to say that it is my friend and colleague, Chris Smith.
Hey Steve, how are you going?
There he is. Oh, still in the shed, I see.
I am still in the shed. It's got a bit more colder out here than the summer, to be fair, but man, I've missed being on the show.
Yeah, so Chris has got a hell of a story to tell you. He has definitely been through it over the last few months. Chris, do you want to pick up the story?
Yeah, so all kicked off, basically I caught coronavirus, had that for 2 weeks, so that was really bad symptoms from that, bad headaches, sweats, fever. I was actually in hospital for 3 days, with it as well. So that was pretty tough, but it got worse than that as well, Steve. As I'm sure you heard, I actually caught Bell's palsy from the recovering from that. So that's like a paralysis of the left side of the face. Yeah. So it meant I couldn't move my face. So yeah, a pretty rough old ride for 5 weeks.
I think it's quite a story on how someone like yourself who is incredibly fit can suddenly be can suddenly be taken down so quickly, and it was quite scary, right?
Yeah, it was really scary, to be fair. I woke up just in the middle of the night. I couldn't catch my breath. I had really bad shivers, and basically I thought, oh my God, this is actually pretty serious. I was quite sort of blasé to it at first. Not blasé, I was doing all the government restrictions, washing hands, wearing masks, everything I could to protect myself from the virus. But yeah, it struck me down pretty damn hard. Yeah,
and I guess it must be quite scary to go down so quickly as well, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think the time off the bike as well, like it's been 5 weeks now since I rode. Sort of the last bit of riding I did was the end of August. So I'm slowly ramping it up now, just riding cross country, working on that fitness and strength again to hopefully be back for full strength in next couple of weeks, hopefully.
Yeah. So what about the Bell's palsy? That's almost like a paralysis of the side of the face. What's the, how do you go about getting that fixed then?
So basically that, as you mentioned, just paralysis of the face. I was on a course of steroids. I
get it every Friday night.
Yeah, but that's the whole face. It's too much whiskey, Steve. But basically, so the whole face doesn't move. So I had steroids, facial massage, and actually acupuncture as well. So needles all in my face as well. I've got a few pics actually, so maybe I'll stick a few of them up so you guys can see what it was like. But yeah, it was a tough old few weeks, but so good to be back. So
how are you feeling now? You back to full strength?
No, not the full strength. Still got a little bit, but sort of 5-10% probably facial movement, not moving, quite as well as it did before. And strength and fitness, definitely. I've been out riding my push bike trials bike. I can definitely notice on that I'm not as strong as I used to be, and just fitness. So as I say, ramping it up next few weeks and getting back to full strength and joining you out there for some of this 104 action, hopefully, Steve, and take that to sub-minute.
Well, Chris, I think the COVID and the Bells is just another in a long line of injuries and ailments that you've had along the way.
It's been a rough old road, but yeah, we're back on it now.
Right. So guys, let's get into the show then. First of all, I want to give a shout out in terms of the Adventure Week t-shirt, and also, of course, all the other t-shirts, which Chris hasn't been wearing over the last 5 weeks.
I've got a few of the new ones, got the olive green one on, but yeah, the adventure ones do look super cool, so check those out.
Yeah.
And I hear there's some stickers in there as well, Steve, isn't there?
Stickers.
Nice, can't beat stickers.
Now, on the weekend, we had a video on wheel size, which was 29-inch wheels versus mixed size wheels. Now, I won't say the M word because I think that's a load of rubbish. But Chris, essentially, what we were talking about is what's the best wheel size? And it came across that maybe we were talking about what's the fastest wheel size. And of course, what's the fastest does come into the story, but ultimately you guys need to know what's the best wheel size for you. So some interesting comments from around the world. First of all, from Pacovia, who says, just enjoy the ride, you don't need to count the seconds. Yeah, absolutely. That is a lot what most people think.
Yeah, we've got one coming in from Preston Petty here. He says, unless you're a racer like me, then it comes down to counting seconds and battling the clock. But besides that, have fun and don't worry about the time. I think that's definitely something to think about, having the fun out there, enjoying being in the great outdoors, I think.
And I think Bruce Hewitt actually nails it by saying, I like how the conclusions keep making the case for how pointless this exercise is. Well, it kind of is pointless because there are so many factors involved in wheel size. There's the geometry of the bike, there's the shape of the bike, there's the tyres, the tyre shape and height and volume and grip, and you could go on and on and on, because you cannot simply transfer one wheel size to the bike and think it's going to be better, because you have to have all the other factors in place to make sure your bike is balanced and performs to its optimum.
Yeah. I've got this one in from Daniel Charlie Fernandez. He says, I did this to my bike, 29er up front and a 27 on the rear, and the improvement is noticeable. I can turn better, go down steep tracks better, and even jump better for some reason. And as Steve mentioned, swapping those things around sometimes can make that bike perform better in those certain situations. And what's your thoughts, Steve, on that? For swapping wheels up?
I do like. I have to say, I'm a big fan of 29 up front and 27.5 in the rear. And if I was to pick any wheel size, I think that would be the combination that I would use.
Yeah, I think that works good for me too.
Yeah, like I said, though, you have to get the bottom bracket right, height right. You don't want it too low, you don't want it too high. And yeah, I've actually been fitting a slightly longer travel fork to the front of my bike recently.
Really?
Gone up to like a 170.
I've done that actually on my Levo, so yeah, it's a good move as well. It definitely does change the way it rides.
Right, it's now time for Tech of the Week, and this is a Nikolai Lambada, or is that Lambda, 1998 from Tied, or is that Tied? How do you pronounce that? I don't know. Anyway, Tied is from Veluwe near Arnhem in Holland. He says, I didn't use my Nikolai Lambada freestyle downhill bike for a while, so I recycled it and built this e-bike. So we'll design and print a casing for the batteries and controller. This is just the ghetto style. Yeah, it looks like you're making good use of that Nikolai there, Tied. I hope you saw the video which we did on the Nikolai adventure bike with the roll-off hub and belt drive last week.
It looks pretty interesting, that. So, looking at the photo, have you seen the size of the chainring on that thing? I'm guessing that's it looks like a 52 tooth chainring on there, hub drive motor, some interesting geometry and battery placement going on, but looks pretty cool.
Yeah, 1500 watts, 48 volt.
Whoa, bad boy.
Right, we're now going out and about, and again, a fantastic array of photographs from all over the world from you guys. But before we go into that, we actually saw a load of e-mountain bikers in the Forest of Dean last week, and this is a picture here of a chap I met called Ian, who's got a YTD car with some really cool tyres. Ian, I love the setup of your bike, as I mentioned last week. I love the all black and the black cassette on there with the gum wall tyres. I think it's a good look, Chris.
It is a good look, isn't it? Good looking bike, that. I like that.
Right, now then, across the Atlantic to British Columbia, and an update from Christine. Christine says, is talking about the bears here. Now, despite the declining numbers, it's not unlikely to encounter these majestic beasts in the BC backcountry. The bells on your bars hopefully warn the grazing bears and slow-moving acoustic riders of your approaching presence. Yeah, Christine is a regular on the EMBN show.
Yeah.
She goes on to say the majority of encounters are peaceful, but occasionally they will defensively bluff charge if they're with their cubs. Hence, carrying and knowing how to deploy bear spray is always a good first line of defence.
Next up, we've got Paul here. He's on his 2021 Turbo Levo up in the Terry Hills in New South Wales in Australia. He says, after not riding a bike for 30 years, I brought the Turbo Levo 2 months ago and I've been riding almost every day. Love getting out in the bush on the e-bike. So yeah, getting out there every day after not riding. That's amazing, isn't it? And that's what e-bikes can do for you.
Yeah, totally. And now the next two photographs are with Trek bikes. Now I was a bit confused at the moment whether they're in the same location or not, but they're not. The first one is from Howie and his Trek Rail 9.7 2020. This is in Alder First Three Sisters, Evergreen in Colorado. And he says here, with the leaves beginning to turn colours, it was time to check out the trails in the mountains of Colorado. And then the second one is actually from James on his Trek Powerful 5 in Loch Nagar in Scotland. Now, interesting story, Chris, isn't it?
Yeah, he says, I thought my mountain bike days were over due to lymphoma cancer until this heavenly sent Trek Powerfly arrived on my doorstep. The light beams you see were not added. This did happen and I never noticed until I looked at the picture after I got home. If you want the ultimate rock garden ride, go to Loch Muick to Loch Nagar distillery, then eastern Balmoral towards Loch Nagar, then back down the Lowes rock path to Loch Muick. This little beauty never missed a beat, one great hardtail, That's an amazing story and an amazing pick, isn't it? Look at that. It does look great.
Yeah, absolutely stunning. So, as always, the EMBN viewers have come up with the goods from many parts of the globe. I think that those Colorado and Scotland shots are absolutely incredible.
Yeah, and don't forget to keep sending those pictures and videos into the show. Use the upload service. The details of that are up on screen now. Right, it's time for that part of the show that I've really been missing since being off for these last 5 weeks. It is the Bike Vault. Let's dive in and have a look at all your e-bikes from around the world. And first up, we've got this interesting beauty from Andre. So this is a Ghost Hybrid Elector SX 5.7 29er, and he's out in Arad. Now, where's Arad, Steve? Too sure about that? Arad.
I don't know, but what I do know is that is a very, very trick-looking bike.
It is. It almost looks like a concept bike, doesn't it? Looks.
Well, it is. Isn't this the material which has been developed by that company in Belgium, which you find on the Kelly's bike as well? But 16 kilos, like I said, and it's got some great parts in there. It's got Di2.
So this is a rigid bike, then, looking at that. It's got, or is there suspension?
It doesn't look like there's much suspension on it to me.
Definitely no suspension in the rear. Probably a bit of flex in those wheels, but aside from that, it looks pretty rigid.
But I tell you what, I reckon that is, it's got to be super nice, right?
A glimpse of the future there from Andre. Nice.
Yeah, nice one, Andre. Now, next up, we've got a Willier from Stephen out in Bangor, County Down in Ireland. Northern Ireland?
Yep.
Yes. Right, anyhow, easing back into the bike following injury with a gentle ride, but thoroughly enjoyable scoot on his local trails. Bliss, absolutely. Stephen, that is very nice, if not a little bit wet over there.
Nice, we've got this next bike coming in from Greg Boom. So this is a Cannondale Habit Neo 2. He's out in Battle Creek Mountain Bike Park in St. Paul, Minnesota. I'm liking the look of that bike, super clean. You've got some nice colour coding going on, pedals, mudguard, grips, headset spacers. And even those reeds in the background got a bit of orange going on. I think it could be our our second super nice actually. Super nice.
Now this is also from from Holland. This is Kjeld, Specialized Turbo Lever Expert Carbon 2020. Whoa, that's nice. Look at those 38 forks on there, and it's got SRAM access on there. More travel. Whoa! Hold on here a minute now. I need to read the description. I learned what I wanted and didn't want a new bike. For example, more travel and different joy. So I decided to buy a Lever Expert in the colour that Steve often used. Right, see you going here. Yeah, and look at these upgrades on here. NXE, the cassette. The cassette is a steel one in the back, it's tough and looks better. Yeah, good
38
point.
fork up
Magura
front,
brakes.
38 fork. Matches graphics actually quite nicely, that pistachio 38, doesn't it?
Like it.
Definitely.
Like it. Do you know what, Kjeld? I think that has got to be
It's got to be a super nice.
Super nice.
Wow, look at this. So this is in from Hugo Manuel. It's Mondraker Levo RR. He's out in the Serra de Sintra in Portugal, having a little break on the ride. And talking about colour coding, I think that Sky and Sea is a pretty good match for that bike, actually, isn't it? That blue looks good. Looks a nice balanced bike. That few upgrades on there. Got the Öhlins fork up front. Is that Öhlins shock on the rear? And I mean, you can't beat that view. It looks an amazing ride up nice and high above the beach in the sun. Another super nice.
Yeah, I want to be there. I want to be there for sure. Next up is Specialized SL Comp Carbon Standard, apart from the 35th chain ring. This is in the River Roach, near Rochford in Essex. That's nice. Next up, Rocky Mountain. Don't get many Rocky Mountains, the old altitude power play. This is in the Yarra Ranges in the middle of South Australia.
Wow. That's a cool shot, isn't it? Those flowers look good. I love the look of those Rocky Mountains. They always look super clean. I'm thinking, nice shot, I think that is. Whoa.
That's
nice. This is Andy with his Trek Rail 7. He's in Errington Woods in North Yorkshire. First ride out on Michelin E-Wild tyres, and he's got the new upgrade on that Bosch motor. So he's got the 85 Newton meter torque upgrade on there. Apparently loving it, and I'm loving that shot. I think they're really good looking bikes as well. Colours, graphics really stand out on that. And And again, it looks like an amazing spot to ride. So I'm going to go with another super nice. I'm giving them away this week, Steve.
Giving them away. And do you know what? I'd actually go with that bike as the bike of the week. I think that's a lovely looking shot. It showcases
Definitely.
the bike. You can see a bit of the background there. Nice bit of Loamy Woods. Yeah, like it a lot.
Coming in, use that upload service for the bike vault, out and about, all that content. Love seeing it here on the show.
And that's it for this week's EMBN Show. Thanks so much for joining us, Chris. Great to see you back.
It's good to be back, Steve. Yeah, it's so good to be back on the show. And yeah, I can't wait for next week. So stay tuned, guys. Make sure you subscribe to the channel. Give us a thumbs up if you've enjoyed it. And don't forget to find us on social media too. Cheers.